we are here to speak about our Depthical review of uh, Lovecraft Country, an HBO show that came out this year, 2020. It stars the Jonathan Majors, Journey Smollett, has Michael K. Williams, Courtney Vance, um, and then some other people that need to, I guess get their star power up so people can know the name. Ajane Ellis is in there. You know what I'm saying? She's in there in the show. So my name is Alex Will 64. I come here on behalf of my business here, Ethereality Institute. You can find me at on Instagram at AlexWill64. My other Instagram, Etherrealist, and then my website is down below, my ether-ins.teachable.com and my acrosensum.com website. So this all started because I put up a post that simply said on my Instagram, because this is how a lot of this shit starts when I, do my lectures here, or, what I'm saying, these teachings here, or these long ass tirades and filibusters here on my YouTube channel. Eat the real. Subscribe, you know what I'm saying? Like, subscribe, you know what I mean? I say too many words that won't get this monetized, like this video, you know what I'm saying? So I ain't worried about that. There's a lot of cussing and doing a lot of, you know, lewd language and stuff like that. That's just my style, son. Ma'am. That's just how I do it, you know what I mean? But this all started with a post that says, so let me guess, y'all want me to analyze and decode that HBO show Lovecraft Country in video format, huh? LOL. And it got a, you know what I'm saying, it got a large response from, I guess, my Insta community there. And you know what I'm saying, they was really wanting me to do this. So this is for y'all out there that wanted me to do it. This is for y'all. We're going to be breaking down and analyzing the Lovecraft Country. Now, I saw it on HBO, you know what I'm saying, because I have a friend that has HBO. And I saw that there was advertising for it. And just straight off the bat with the advertising for this, I know this is a show riding on the tails of Black Panther. See, Black Panther is a, was the I guess the gates being open, you know what I'm saying, for all black casts in shows and movies. Because they saw that this Black Panther movie made, you know what I'm saying, a million or a billion, over a billion at the box office. And, now it's okay to now make whole movies and shows where most of the cast is black. Blacks are marketable now. Whoopee ki woo. You know what I'm saying? Whoopee. You know what I'm saying? So you got a lot of different companies and corporations trying to capitalize off of all black casts. You know what I'm saying? Um, so I'm gonna just give you my overall feelings about the show, and then we can go deep into characters, plot lines. Saying things that I saw in there that need to be addressed here in this depthical review of mine. I guess on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give the show a solid 7. You know what I'm saying? I'll give the show a solid 7. I can't give it anything higher than a 7 because the first of all, the antagonists of the show, or the antagonists, were a little bit weak. They could have been stronger with the antagonists. As far as the cinematography, because if you're gonna be a fucking critical shit, you got to get into these particulars and specs and technicalities. So you know what I'm saying, on some black Roger Ebert and shit like that. Um, the cinematography was good. The effects were amazing. The content that they decided to put into a show like this, like I said, I was feeling it. I know it's propaganda, and what I also know is that another show known as Watchmen that came out on HBO a year prior. You're going to hear me mention that Watchmen show throughout this whole review. because there's too many similarities not to. You know what I'm saying? And if you want me, if like, I don't know if you've already seen my review of the Watchmen HBO series on my channel. I have a 6-part series on it. You may want to check that out. You don't have to sit here and watch them in order, but that I've already broken down that whole Watchmen show and how it was coded information about the whole COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. Just me saying that ain't gonna get me monetized just by saying that in the video. So you know what I'm saying. And like I said, I show you in throughout that whole Watchmen show how you'll find predictions, or you know what I'm saying, forecasts of how this whole COVID-19 pandemic was supposed to play out. So they coded it in that show, and I'm pretty sure they coded this whole COVID thing and other shows that came out in 2019, 2018, or 2020. Because they even bringing back The Stand, that Stephen King miniseries. Like, they remaking that shit, which they don't need to remake. That shit is perfect as it is. I also recommend watching The Stand, the miniseries from back in the 90s. But again, they're trying to remake that shit for the 2000s, or I mean 2020, which is fucking, like I said, I know they're going to use The Stand as a way to talk about and further the plot of COVID-19, because The Stand deals with a super flu. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you should know that whenever they bring any of these books, comic books, any of these movies, they do prequels on them, or they do sequels to them, or they remake them and shit like that. You should know right off the bat that they are using these franchises to push their socio-political agenda. You know what I'm saying? Those who own the media outlets, like these Jewish moguls and whatnot, they're using these, like they even bring about making a Matrix 4 sequel. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not letting these franchises die. They're bringing them back because they got new propaganda to give you through the characters that you already are familiar with and the storylines that you're already familiar with. Hence, this show that we're talking about today is you know, Lovecraft Country. So, like I said, I give it a solid 7. The acting was good. Like I said, I like the scope of the occult knowledge and that they put into the show. What else? And like I said, it's also an excursion for people to be like, hey, black people can be into like sci-fi, fantasy, and speculative fiction too. Yeah, they can deal with interdimensional time travels and monsters and aliens from other places. Yeah, they're marketable. We can sell it to China and Russia and Africa. We can sell black people with all black casts with a black writer and a black director. We can do that. Black Panther did it. Hey, why can't we? So that's HBO. This is what HBO is doing, because they did it with the show Watchmen too. But um, like I said, I know that this is a propaganda thing. So this is just the whole thing of this book that they're using, this Lovecraft Country. This book was written by a German, a Lutheran German from New York. Now, what does a Lutheran German have to do with any black people or niggas, or who? You know what I'm saying? What does he have to do with the melanin thing? What's the tie? You know what I'm saying? And because this show deals with magic, occult, and you know what I'm saying, books that have occult magic in it, or those type of things, I am pretty certain that this German dude, what's his name, Matt Ruff, he's the author of the book. So the show is based on a novel that was written in 2016. So I'm pretty sure the German dude knows some occult magic. I'm pretty sure he does. You can't write a whole book about that shit and not only know about it, but actually in the practice of it. Because I know that he's practicing this type of shit. You know what I'm saying? And you should know that these Germans, especially going across World War II and beyond, you know what I'm saying, they were definitely influenced by the occult. I'm pretty sure you probably know about the Fool Society, and how the Fool Society was supposed to be the shadow in the background when Adolf Hitler rose to power in Nazi Germany. So all of them, they were all into scientific experiments, cloning, and dealing with occult science. Because then you can also see remnants of that in like movies like Hellboy. You know what I'm saying? That whole shit was about Nazi Germany experimenting with the paranormal and the occult and doing all that type of shit. So I'm pretty sure this German dude, Lutheran, is into all that. Based and then looking at the type of shit that he was writing about in the book. And then also that, his wife name is Lisa Gold, and for what I researched is that she considers herself a rare book expert. So this whole show, Lovecraft Country, deals with this book known as the Book of Names. So I know the Book of Names is a fictional rendition of some book that this couple has come across in their occult studies and their occult travels or whatever they do in the occult. Because again, the whole overarching plot of the show, and I guess the book, well, I'm not sure about the book, but I know about the show is that the main characters are trying to retrieve this book of names and use the spells within the book of names to do various activities. So venturing after these rare ass books, like I said, his wife does shit like that. And he's a writer, so it makes sense. Um and then, like I said, I have a list of shit that I'm just gonna run down. And I ain't gonna try to sit here and like filibuster your ear and just be yap yap yap. I want this shit to be short, not too long. Um And like I said, the marketability of a mostly black cast after $1 billion success of the Black Panther. So it just makes sense. So it's like I said, there's movies and shows coming out based on what Black Panther has opened up. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to capitalize off that type of money that, you know what I'm saying, capitalize off that audience. You know what I'm saying? They want to, and then like you'll see that they keep making up protagonists that are Black Panther ish or T'Challa ish. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The late T'Challa, he died this year, so they're trying to make more Black Panthers, not Killmongers, Black Panthers, because they fuck with they fuck with the Black Panthers, but not the fucking Killmongers. You feel me? So the whole Atticus or the Tick, you know what I'm saying? Tick, who's the main character, male protagonist of this show, Lovecraft Country, he's another Black Panther. He's another T'Challa. You know what I'm saying? T'Challa was when I watched Black Panther, T'Challa was another Nelson Mandela for me. He sounded like him in accent and tone, and he had the same viewpoints. Like when you see like you know, the mid-credit scene where T'Challa and the Dora Milaje and then the Nakia chick was with him at the United Nations conference, and he was talking that shit that Nelson Mandela would say. You know what I'm saying? The old Nelson Mandela would say. You know what I'm saying? Peace all over. We're all one tribe. We're all one big happy worldly global family. That bullshit. So that's what they're banking on. That's why they keep trying to give you black heroes. They're trying to give you more of Nelson Mandela and more of Martin Luther King. That's what they're trying to give you. So not only is it profitable at the box office, and then you know what I'm saying, people signing up on HBO Max to watch this show or HBO, you know what I'm saying, but it's a safe protagonist. It's a protagonist that Jewish white people like. That's how they want their black men and women, you know what I'm saying? They want them to be like the citizens of Wakanda, not like the citizens of Oakland, where they put Killmonger, who was originally from New York, and they put him in Oakland right next to the whole Black Panthers birthplace. So, you know, the Black Panther Party birthplace. And it's interesting that Jordan Peele, Misha Green, and J.J. Abrams is attached to this show. And we can just start off the bat by talking about Jordan Peele, which we already know he got, you know, he's part of that Key and Peele comedy show that Dave Chappelle said they stole his, you know, style and shit. But then, like I said, he went his own way by getting into horror and science fiction with the first movie that is attached to him that he directed, which was Get Out with the Daniel Kaluuya dude. You know what I'm saying? They said the nigga he got out and went all the way to Wakanda. You know what I'm saying? He was Wakabi in the Black Panther movie. And then Jordan Peele put out the movie Us with Lupita Nyong'o and the M'Baku dude that played M'Baku in the Black Panther. And that second movie spooked me out, yo. That's a spooky ass fucking movie. It's not like a horror. I mean, it's a horror movie, but it's not like a horror that's like it's like jump scares. You know what I'm saying? It's more like a creepy fucking movie. Like I only watched it one time. Like I don't like being creeped out sometimes like that, cause that's fucked up. Like you got all these people underground eating rabbits, and they look like you and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like who would I be? What type of fucking mind state would I be in if I were to face my tether or my clone? You know what I'm saying? That's some spooky ass shit. You know what I mean? You gotta admit that's spooky shit. Don't act like you gonna have the balls or um the ovaries to deal with that, like just straight off the bat. You know what I'm saying? Especially if that clone is trying to take your place or trying to, you know what I'm saying, get revenge for something you did to the clone. Because you are the tether, and the one that was trapped down in the sewers or the underground shit was the real person. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I just spoiled the movie for you. You should know that this shit is spoiler alert for the whole video review. You know what I'm saying? Like you clicked on my link, spoiler reviews, go with that. Um, and like I said, that helps sell the show that Jordan Peele's name is attached. He doesn't have to direct. He doesn't have to write any of the episodes or do nothing. He doesn't have to be a consultant. He just has to have his name attached to the project. So I'm pretty sure he probably it's through his company or he put money into it. But because his name is now synonymous with scary black people, science fiction, fantasy, horror that everybody is now interested in seeing. So that helps sell the fucking show. And then you have J.J. Abrams, which is a dude that he was responsible for the show Lost for all you Lost fans out there, and he also I like what he did with Star Trek. You know what I'm saying? I like his take on Star Trek. It was kind of like a remake of Star Trek that he did like a few years ago. And then he's also the one that did two of the Star Wars sequel trilogy movies. So he did Star Wars Episode 7 and Star Wars Episode 9. And for like white people, like Caucasians, I know they're not mad at black people anymore. They're mad at Star Wars. They're mad at fucking Star Wars right now. You know what I'm saying? If you want to make a Caucasoid person mad, just say something along the lines of Disney did a great job with Star Wars. That white person will hang you right there where you at. Even if they will bring you to a tree and hang you. That's how angry and upset these motherfuckers are with that Star Wars shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not sure why he's attached to this shit. But then you have the Misha Green chick. This is the black chick, you know what I'm saying? And she was the one she got her fame by doing that show Underground, which was that slave shit that had the Journey Smollett, the light skinned John, the one from Eve's Bayou. Remember that shit? Yeah, pineapple teeth. Remember that? With Samuel L. Jackson back in the 90s and Journey Smollett, she was the young little light skinned chick, little light skinned girl. Well, now she's all grown up. Ooh, that red lipstick look good on YouTube. Ooh. I caught myself watching the show just to see Journey Smollett. You know what I'm saying? It's a little crush. It ain't big. It's just a small little crush. She had the red lipstick popping. You know what I'm saying? She liked photography. I like photography. You know what I mean? Just a little crush. It ain't big. I don't know if you got, you know what I'm saying, you're a female out there, you had a crush on me. Don't be like, you know what I'm saying, oh, you like light skin, you like overly buttery light skin chicks. So like, no, I like them all flavors. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to sit here and say, oh, I like light skinned chicks and not dark skin. Matter of fact, whoever played her sister on that show, I forgot the actress's name that played her sister in this Lovecraft show. That's a whole lot of woman right there. She dark skinned and thick like that. What? Now, if they was really sisters in real life, it was like y'all got some good genes running through y'all little genome right there. You know what I'm saying? Is on one hand you got buttery, light skinned, skinny with bright red lipstick and stuff. You know what I'm saying? That likes photography. But then on the other hand, you got this, plus size chocolate goddess over here that likes singing. You know what I'm saying? And has like a uppity, highfalutin air about her, which I like too. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you got, you know what I mean? You gotta choose which one you like. So don't sit here and be like, oh, I like the light skinned joint. No, I like both of them. So, but Misha Green, like I said, she did the underground shit. That TV show that got canceled after about 2 seasons. So you should already know the bullshit going in. This is a female writer or producer, whatever she is, that was her brainchild. You know what I'm saying? That underground show. So why is there this focus on race related? Is all when every time they make shit about black people, it's always racism. Always, why can't it just be a movie where it doesn't really deal with that? You know what I mean? I know it's an important part of our experience here in America, but god damn, like do you really have to keep dealing with tropes and motifs dealing with slavery and fucking Jim Crow era and Tulsa, Oklahoma? We're gonna get into that shit real soon. But yeah, so you should already know like you can get it, you can break into Hollywood as a writer or a show creator. You just have to create the type of content that these Jewish moguls are into. You'll get in. Cuz I remember when I was a fucking, you know what I'm saying, I went to a 4-year university for radio, TV, film. It was like a conjunct major. And you know what I'm saying? I was like, will I ever get into this? You know what I'm saying? Will I ever break into Hollywood as a writer, a screenwriter, a director? Because that was my shit. You know what I'm saying? Then I got a little discouraged, but then I started to figure out like if I was a sellout, you know what I'm saying, I probably could get a foot into the shit. Like if I started making shows about, homosexual black dudes and, lesbo feminist themes and, you know what I'm saying, white people going against black people, but Jews ain't nowhere to be found in the show. I could probably be a good writer about. I could probably make it in Hollywood. I could probably make it in the TV in the realm if I was writing about this shit. Because that's what gets you on. If you writing about anything other than that, you're not about to be a fucking famous screenwriter or nothing like that. So just keep that in mind, you kids out there. I'm just setting it straight. So if you're aspiring screenwriter or a director or anything like that, this is the game. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I already know that the show was going to be there's going to be tons of bullshit. Just nutted inside this show. You know what I'm saying? Just a whole bunch of, it's going to just be nutted into the show. Like just some bullshit. So, Tulsa, Oklahoma race riots and Black Wall Street. So you just need to know that the book that this show is based on, this Lovecraft Country book, there's no mention of no Tulsa, Oklahoma in the book. There's no excursion into time travel to the Tulsa, Oklahoma riots of 1921. So why is it in this show? Why are they injecting this shit in the show? Because when you do go watch the show Watchmen that came out a year ago, you'll see the very first fucking episode of the show deals with Tulsa, Oklahoma. Why is there a focus on this fucking, not even a place, but also the time period? Why do we keep having flashbacks to this time in history? What the fuck is this? What's the focus on that? Why is this so special that you have two HBO shows back to back dealing with it, where you're dealing with or at least something, either the main characters or one of the main characters is a black person. What is that all about? What is that? Why this focus on this shit? Because I know, like, when you deal with, like, conscious community, woke niggas, they always talking about, Black Wall Street. Let's come up with a game plan to bring back, Black Wall Street and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? When Bobby Hemmett told y'all niggas that this shit is over. But, you got your, speakers out there that come and speak on black finance and how they can invest in this, and, we're behind as far as, our economic stability, and how the dollar circulates much less in our own community than it does in other communities like the Chinese and the Korean and the white and the Jewish community and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? That's all cool and all, you know what I mean? But life is greater than your financial stability or your Black Wall Street. So what's why they keep bringing this shit up in their shows? What the fuck is going on with HBO in Tulsa, Oklahoma? You know what I'm saying? And then I knew automatically what the fuck it was all about. It just popped in my head. This is about a race war. This show and the Watchmen show, the Lovecraft Country and the Watchmen show, this is about trying to incite a race war. And who's inciting the race war? It's these Jews, these Jewish people. I ain't gonna say Jews, it's Jewish people. They own or they run these media outlets, whether it be Hollywood or HBO or whatever. They're running this shit. They're running that. So the propaganda that they're putting in there is they're using the Tulsa, Oklahoma riots of 1921 and using that imagery in that time frame to incite a race war between black people in the United States and white Anglo-Saxon Protestant white people. WASPs. We're going to call them WASPs. Because I'm calling them WASPs because that's the name they've been given, and then it separates them from Jewish people. So you got to understand Jewish mentality. You got to understand the Talmud. And you probably also got to read the Elders and the Protocols of Zion. I don't know if I said it right. The Protocols of Zion. You know what I'm saying? Now, a lot of Jews will try to sit here and say, there's no validity or truth to this, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Like, it's not true. It's not a real book. It's a fiction. But it's like, everything in this book matches up with what these niggas is doing out here. Now, if there are different sets of Jews, let's deal with some that are more specific. Let's deal with the Zionist Ashkenazi Jews then. Jewish motherfuckers. That isn't really. Let's deal with them. Because it seems like when they deal with this whole, have white people and black people clash and fight and go to war, you never see the Jews in this shit. And we know, if you do your reading, that when it comes to slavery, when it comes to corporations, when it comes to magic and alchemy, you'll find Jews' noses poked in all of it. They never talk to you about the Jewish, the high percentage of Jewish slave owners and plantation owners in the United States. They don't mention that. So when they deal with all these movies talking about slavery or dealing with slavery or the Atlantic City, or I was about to say Atlantic City slave trade, they probably do got that going on right now. Because I'm from Jersey. You know what I'm saying? I grew up about 40 minutes away from Atlantic City. So if they got a slave trade going on, I hope it gets busted sooner or later. But the Atlantic slave trade, you know what I'm saying? They always making it seem like it was just the Southern whites, the waspy whites of the South, that was in this whole ugly time in history where black people were made to pick cotton and get whipped and hanged, and the dogs were sicked on them, and they got raped by the slave masters and became bed witches and bed bucks and yada 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 yada. But they never ever ever deal with the Jewish participation in that. They never deal with it in the media. They never do. They never do. Hell, we can go as back as movies like Mandingo, like going back decades ago. And then dealing with movies like, or shows like The Roots. They even did a remake of that shit recently, but even going back to the 70s with the whole Alex Haley and The Roots or whatever. And then going all the way up to, let's say, Amistad, that came out in the 90s with Jimon Hansu and Anthony Hopkins and all them. And then going towards one of the most popular ones is Django Unchained, and then 12 Years a Slave, then The Butler, which is kind of going beyond the slavery and just dealing with the 1900s or whatever. And now you get your Roots show rehashed, remade, and then you come with this underground show in which Misha Green was the fucking writer on it. Now she's doing Lovecraft Country. But there is really no real mention of Jewish people throughout any of those shows or any of those movies. Why? When they had a high percentage of slave masters was Jewish. And they still is Jewish. Because if you look at the corporations, who still owns them? If you're looking at the media corps, who still owns them? Who's running them? So I know they're using that Tulsa, Oklahoma thing to incite a race war or to get a race war started. Because you have to understand the history between WASPs and Jews. Because Jewish people look at, if you're not Jewish, you are considered Goyim. You're considered a Gentile. You're Goyim. You're Goy. And as a Goyim, they don't have to respect you. They don't have to do sound business practices with you. They don't have to save your life. They don't have to do good by you. You are considered not a chosen one. Because you're not a part of the chosen race, they can do whatever the fuck they want to do to you. And have no sense of guilt or shame about it. So it's always, oh, these people over here are anti-Semitic, but it's never, they're being anti-Goyim. Because that's what all these shows is all about. This is what all these movies are about. It's an anti-Goyim message throughout the whole entire fucking thing. And if you deal with, Jews in Hollywood and you deal with some of the books, I forgot the name of the one book. There's also a documentary on YouTube that you will want to check out. But there's always been this relationship between Jewish people and black people. And how Jewish people definitely exploited black people throughout the whole run of Hollywood and throughout the whole media, their whole time in media, just exploiting us and doing us the way that they do us. Not just in movies and TV show, but also in the music industry. Like with your Leo Cohens and your Jimmy Iovine's and all them people that are big wigs in the music industry that a lot of your rappers like to rap about or mention in interviews and shit like that. So, but you have to understand the beef between the Jewish Ashkenazi, like the Ashkenazi Zionist Jews, and waspy white people in middle America. There's a beef going on. If you watch the show The Punisher that they put out on Netflix, the second season deals with this very, very up close. Because the villains of The Punisher is these billionaires, waspy billionaires out in the Midwest. So they're the villains of the show. So you need to understand this beef between these Jewish people, these Jewish white people, and these regular waspy white people. There's a beef between them that has been going on for decades, maybe even centuries. So they've been beefing with each other for the longest, Christians and Jews. So what Jewish people like to do is use us, black people, to go up against the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, the waspy white people, the ones that would get involved in Ku Klux Klan and in any of these neo-Nazi groups or any of these racist groups out there in, middle America. You know what I mean? So I keep seeing this in these shows. Because even when you watch Django Unchained, you got this black dude you got Jamie Foxx just blasting all these white people away. Like really looking at these waspy white people as the villain, as the enemy. But where's the Jews in all of that? Where are they? They played a major, major part of the slave trade. The major part of it. And it makes sense because if you deal with the Talmud and their approach to the Goyim, because you're not one of the chosen ones, so you're a Goyim, that's why they can loan shark you. That's why they can do all this shit to you. This nasty shit to you because you're not the chosen one. You're not a Jew. I don't care if you want to call it anti-Semitic or not, because it's important as we talk about this show, Lovecraft Country, because again, it's dealing with this propaganda of this Tulsa, Oklahoma shit. They want to start a fucking race war out this bitch. And they're using that Tulsa thing as a fucking backdrop, as a way to, you know what I'm saying, if you're white, you're watching this fucking show, it's like, oh, you know what I'm saying, they're really trying to get this beef going between us. You know what I'm saying? And this is indicative of what these Jewish people have been doing over history. There's even like a book where it talks about, I forgot the name of the book, where it's talking about how what figures in history have said about the Jews over the course of centuries. And they've been saying some very nasty shit about these Jewish people. Now, after a while, it's like, are they sitting here just saying shit to be saying it, or are they telling the truth about these people? You know what I'm saying? So they're sinister enough to be like, okay, we're going to make these black people our heroes to go up against these white people. You know what I'm saying? And then there was something where, I forgot where I saw it. I thought I saw it on YouTube. It was one Jewish guy talking about how, these Jewish people relate to the plight and struggle of black people in America. So they use black people as like a metaphor for their struggle back in Eastern Europe and Russia and Ukraine or wherever they came from, where they were oppressed in the ghettos, because ghettos come from them, these Jewish people. So that we were placed in those ghettos by these people who were once in them. So they see our black plight against white people in America as, a metaphor for or a symbol for what they went through over there in Eastern Europe. But we know that shit is some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? They just want to, like I said, they have beef with us because we are the true Jews. We are the true Israelites. And then you're beefing with these white people over here that aren't Jews, that don't trust you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if a Ku Klux Klan group, I don't know who they hate more, black people, homosexuals, or Jews. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who they be hating on more. You know what I mean? But it's interesting to see that we in the dark skinned community, you know what I'm saying, the African / native or whatever you want to call us, we're not the only ones that these neo-Nazis and Ku Klux Klan niggas hate. You know what I'm saying? They have a deep disdain for Jews. And you see that in these Jewish productions, these Hollywood HBO productions, you know what I'm saying, Cinemax Stars Productions, that these waspy white people that are non-Jews are the bad guys or the antagonists of these shows. And it makes sense. So they're trying to manipulate a race war between, blacks or coloreds, whatever you want to call us, according to how you want to call us, not what I'm calling us, between us and these white people. You know what I'm saying? Middle America white people. And then it doesn't even stop at the mundane level. There's occult wars going on. So it's not just, niggas is taking up arms and trying to fight using rifles and fucking pitchforks and all that. Nah, it goes deeper than that. It's more sophisticated warfare, spiritual warfare going on out here. Because these middle America white people are less concerned with blacks and more concerned with the government. That's what makes them dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're on the outside looking in and you don't understand the beef between Jews and these white Christians, it's like you're like, well, why would the government be focused all on these white supremacist groups that are rising up? Why are they saying that they're the most dangerous? Because you got to understand, these white people are not really worried about your black ass. You know what I'm saying? They only get worried about you when, I guess, they make shows like Lovecraft Country where it's about, the magic and these black people getting a hold of magic and using magic to protect themselves. That's where they become a threat. Because other than that, these white people are getting these guns to go up against the government. These sovereign white people, like for all y'all niggas that like Moors and you like sovereignty and secure party creditor and private party status, all that fucking sovereignty shit. It was white people that started that shit out in there in was it Oklahoma? I think it was like somewhere out in the Midwest. It was a group of these renegade white people that were trying to go up against the government, and they were claiming that they were sovereign citizens and that the government is corrupt and it's go up against the rights of those people, or just the American public. So these are white people that stick close to the Constitution. They love the Constitution. They can fucking recite the Constitution to you forwards and backwards. So again, one of the amendments was the right to bear arms. So when they go and get their guns, they're really beefing against the government. They're not really beefing with other ethnicities of people. You know what I'm saying? So niggas like the Tiger King, he's a threat. You know what I'm saying? He like people like him. He's a threat to the government because these motherfuckers do not follow they're their own shit. And that's why they're a threat. That's why you put them in shows like The Punisher and shows like Watchmen and shows like Lovecraft Country. So there's an occult war going on though. That's what you need to pay attention to, which this show Lovecraft Country kind of touches on. Because again, they are into the magic. They do the magic. So you'd be stupid to sit here and think that, you know what I'm saying, these white people or these Jews or whoever, that they're just using brute force to go to combat you. No, these motherfuckers know magic. They have the grimoires. They have the fucking Aleister Crowd and all that goofy shit. They have all of that. And they use it. Because that's how you stay in power. That's your source of your power. Not your numbers, not your with your magic, your ability to you know what I'm saying, give yourself more power to do what you do. So when you put out these media products like the shows and the movies or whatnot, you're putting magical rituals into the fucking the media, into the shows and the movies, because that then goes to influence the viewers. And they made this a very powerful point in the show Watchmen, where they showed that this Ku Klux Klan group, the Cyclops group in that show, was using mesmerism or this form of hypnotism in their films to influence black people watching the movie. That shit is real. That's not fake. That's where it stops becoming fiction and becomes a real fucking shit. Because now these Jews or these Jewish people that isn't real, they're using this shit in the media. The same type of shit. So you got to have that type of power to, you know what I'm saying, gain any traction or get some leeway or win any type of war. You need that type of shit. And then, like I said, I also compare this show to A Birth of a Nation by Nate Parker. So that shit came out like 2016. Where Nate Parker, he came out with his movie about Nat Turner. He was Nate Parker and then Nat Turner. So it was almost like the nigga was fated to do this movie. But and the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's another example of black people going up against WASPs, or white Anglo-Saxon Protestant white people, not Jews or Jewish people, white Christians. And then this is not just, you know, white people that just subscribe to Christianity. We talking about any white person or any Caucasoid that is not Jewish, because they are considered Gentiles and Goyim just like we are. You know what I'm saying? But this here, we are the true Jewish. You know what I'm saying? Or not Jewish. We are the Jew. We know this. Now, if you're a black person out there that don't know that, you need to do more research. Get the book West African, the Hebrewisms of West Africa. I think I'm saying the title right. And books along like Ebos and that type of shit. Look that up. Research that. And you'll learn about, you know what I'm saying, that whole thing of the Hebrews exiting Egypt back in the time of Nile civilization has nothing to do with no Caucasoids or no Jewish Caucasoids. It has nothing to do with Caucasoids in no feature or manner. See, Hebrew is an occult term. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. So if you're going to put it in terms of ethnicity, then you would have to be talking about us, the black people. You know what I'm saying? But it's actually an occult term talking about if you've done the alchemy or not. If you're a person that has crossed over to do the alchemy and you've done the alchemy, you have become this new species of being, you're the Hebrew. But you see how like these Ashkenazi Zionists here have usurped and escheated, something I learned from Moorish sovereignty and all that, escheated the legacy, and now they are trying to put themselves out there as the true Jews, and they're not. You know what I'm saying? But that excuse me, that Nate Parker movie about Nat Turner. See, they show all these depictions in these movies of us butchering these non-Jewish white people. Why is that? Because that's what happens in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You have the non-Jewish white people doing what they do to us, and then we get the revenge. That's pretty much the bulk of these slave, Jim Crow, civil rights fucking movies that they've been putting out lately. You know what I mean? Or the shows too, the movies and the shows. And what was interesting also about, because we're going to get into this later in this video where we're talking about the spells and the magic that was done to us while we were in bondage or in slavery, and how it's still being activated or still being done to us through the media. But it's important to note that in the Nat Turner movie, The Birth of a Nation, the same actor that was his master in the movie, the Army Hammer dude, or Hamer, however the fuck you say it, Army Hammer or Hamer, he was the same actor that played in the movie Sorry to Bother You, that had Lakeith Stanfield and Tessa Thompson, that wacky ass movie that never really got out there in theaters, but you got to watch it in I think it's on one of those streaming apps, maybe Stars or HBO, one of them. And spoiler alert, nigga, at the end of the movie, motherfucker turned into a horse, because the whole point of that movie about Sorry to Bother You was that the black dude Lakeith Stanfield, he was working for a telemarketing company, and he got so good at it, that's why he was using his white voice to kind of get good at it. And he was working for a company that were trying to make horse slaves, like trying to inject people with this horse serum that turns them into workhorses, literally, and make a slave race out of these half human, half horse people. And Lakeith, the white dude, Army Hamer, who was the millionaire or the owner of the business, he wanted Lakeith to be the Martin Luther King or the spokesperson for the horse race, you know what I'm saying, so that they can keep the horse race in check. So Nate Parker does the same thing in the movie Birth of a Nation. Spoiler alert. Him and the white dude go to plantation to plantation for Nate Parker to give a Christian sermon to the slaves to keep them as workers, to use Jesus in the words in the Bible, or the verses in the Bible, to keep slaves in a Christian slave mindset. So he's like a Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson type of motherfucker back in slavery. You know what I'm saying? And I was just kind of making that connection between that Birth of a Nation movie and also the movie Sorry to Bother You, because it's the same white actor that's doing that. You know what I'm saying? Or trying to get that shit set up. It's the same motherfucker. Like, they use the same actors to do the same shit in different movies. You know what I mean? But the reason I'm bringing it up with Lovecraft Country is because spells, hexes, spells. When this motherfucker goes to plantation and reads out of a Bible to get the slaves to stay in a slave state, in a slave Christian state, nigga, he's giving them a spell. Hell, if you know about hoodoo, hoodoo deals with spells right out of the fucking Bible, out of Psalms, to be more specific. So don't you think you'd be still doing that type of activity, that occult spells and putting those hexes on people, by reinforcing it by going to plantation to plantation and reading these spells to keep these black people as slaves or keep them submissive? But we're going to get deeper into that as we go along. So now we're getting into the deeper comparison between the between the show this Lovecraft Country and Watchmen. So I have it in quotations: secret racist Caucasoid cult interested in magic, immortality, and keeping black folks down. So in Watchmen, the show Watchmen, they have the 7th Cavalry, which is the motherfuckers wearing the Rorschach masks, and they're like an offshoot of the Ku Klux Klan. And I compared that to the Order of the Ancient Dawn that we deal with in this Lovecraft Country show. So in this show, like, the Order of the Ancient Dawn is like racist white people into magic. And they're trying to use the magic to become immortal, to keep black niggas down. You know what I'm saying? That's basically why they congregating. Now that shit is real. That's not fake. That's real. Because again, we're going back to this concept of using or experimenting on black people. And not just regular scientific experimentation. We're talking about occult experimentation too. Because you'll see that throughout this Lovecraft Country show. Especially there's an episode where it's this mad scientist that was experimenting on black people, like cutting them up and putting body parts on different people. And, you know what I'm saying, just some real fucked up shit. You know what I'm saying? They even did that shit in the 3rd season of American Horror Story, Coven. That's the only fucking one I watched. That was the only one I was interested in. And they was doing that shit during slavery. Like, you know, the whole thing of gynecology being started based on them experimenting and surgically removing parts from black women's bodies back then. This shit is not just on a physical level. They're dealing with this shit on the occult level. And this is important because now we can bring in the concept or the topic of Willie Lynch chip, and how this shit was really about occult curses and hexes. See, these slave masters were not just motherfuckers that, you know, how they're depicted in movies where they're just dumb and arrogant and, you know what I'm saying, they were still cruel, but they also were into the occult. They had the grimoires. They had the magical books. They had the Goetia. They had the book of this Lesser Key of Solomon. They had all that shit. The Grand Grimoire had all that shit. Especially if they was Jewish, they had it. Because Jewish and alchemy go hand to hand when you're dealing with later century, like 19th, 18th, 17th, 16th, 15th century. Jews had all that alchemy shit. They had all of that, and they were using it on us. You know what I'm saying? So what I figure, especially with this Lovecraft Country show, is that, you know, the Order of the Ancient Dawn, these, you know, Masonic crackers that, you know what I'm saying, that had this magic, they were using that to keep the black slaves that they had down. To destroy, to keep us in a submissive, servile state. To keep us from reaching our higher self, or, you know what I'm saying, that new age concept of higher self. To take us out of the culture we were in. Whether that culture was Native American or it was from over there in the African continent. They use spells to keep you out of your slave tongue, nigga. It wasn't just them hanging you in front of people or them tying a horse to one leg and tying a horse to the other leg, then beating the horses so that the horses go in opposite directions and tear your body apart. It wasn't just them sicking dogs on you or your ancestors to eat them up like they did in the movie Django Unchained. It goes deeper than that. They were going way more depthical than that. These motherfuckers was out here dealing with spirits and possession and all that, putting spirits into our bodies, taking spirits out of our bodies. You know what I'm saying? Eating us to get our power, that type of shit. So that's what really goes down in the fucking ancient order of, or the order of the ancient dawn and all that shit. It ain't just them, doing what they normally did, like making us pick cotton and all. Nah, they was experimenting on us heavily. Because there's even a point in the show where it was like one of the later episodes where the cop Lancaster is a racist cop in Chicago, and when he found a little girl that was the daughter of Hippolyta and the George dude, you know what I'm saying? Um, she ran off. She ran off. You know what I'm saying? If she didn't run off, the cops wouldn't have catch her and put a curse on her. She ran off. Nah, you're not listening. She ran off. Stick to your people when you run off, you know what I'm saying, they get you. But you know what I'm saying? The nigga, the hawk spit on his hand. He put the spit on the little black girl forehead, and he recited a spell. So then she started seeing the whole jigabobos, like these coon ass little girls that had sharp claws and sharp teeth that was basically haunting her. So that got me, like, that sparked some shit. It was like, oh, they sit here revealing how, like, these generational curses come from occult spells and hexes and shit. Because I mean, eventually in the show they heal the little girl of, or they reverse they get rid of the hex that the white dude placed on her. But it brings up an interesting thing, like this Willie Lynch chip shit. That shit is probably a fucking occult curse that was passed down through generation and generation, to the fact that now in 2020 niggas is still affected by these generational curses from centuries ago, or a couple centuries ago, or a century ago. Because they're telling you in this show, like, this is the nigga that started, or the cracker that started the whole um Order of Ancient Dawn. What was his name? Titus Braithwaite. He was a fucking slave master. Because then the show also revolves around how, he raped or had sex with one of his one of the women black women that he had enslaved on his plantation. And he impregnated her. You know what I'm saying? And so then we get to the 1950s, which is where the show mainly takes place, where Tick, or Atticus, which is the dude played by Jonathan Majors, that he's the main character of the show. He's a descendant of that relationship between the Titus Braithwaite, the founder of the Order of Ancient Dawn, and then his great 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 grandmother, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So that Titus Braithwaite's blood is in his lineage. You know what I'm saying? So I like how the show is revealing that. That's what I did like about the show. Like, they sat here and gave you an occult perspective of slavery that these motherfuckers don't really deal with in other shows or TV, or other shows and other films and books and shit like that. And what also validates that is my reading of Obia in the Caribbean, especially in the Jamaica, like back in like the 18 and 1700s, how those slave masters or those plantation owners were heavily into grimoire magic and that German magic and all that shit. It was heavily into that. And some of that shit got into the Obia, so it mixed together. So that's why there are some people that practice Obia that got in, that kind of started combining it with the whole Goetian and all that type of magic. Like, and then when you deal with the Lawrence books, like the Obia Bible or that great book of magical art that is outlawed or banned in Jamaica. Because these slave owners or these Jewish, most of the time they were Jewish, or some of them were just, you know what I'm saying, they were just into the occult. You know what I'm saying? So the curses, because now we got to deal with post-traumatic slave syndrome or post-traumatic slave disorder. And you want to read that book by, it's called Post-Traumatic Slave Disorder by Dr. Joy DeGraw. And I read that book like 10 years ago. So if she put the occult element into it, it would make even more sense. So I don't know if you're the curse breaker in your family. Like, you're the person that's supposed to break these curses that these fucking Jewish slave masters and all them niggas put on your ancestors that got passed down through time and through generations. So if you out there are into metaphysics or magic or the occult, this is kind of like your opportunity to break those spells. You know what I'm saying? And we're talking about spells where, like in the show, you know, the little black girl, Diana D, she gets the spell done on her by the racist cop. Like, he puts the shit on her, the spit on her fucking forehead, and then she starts seeing the jigabobos. You know what I'm saying? Let me bring up a picture of these crazy looking bitches. Hold on. Because I thought, like, before I saw the episode where those jigabobos was on there, because it's a play on the word jigaboo and coon and shit. Oh, let me bring them up. Because I saw an image of them before I saw the actual episode of the show. And I thought that, you know what I'm saying, me just having an assumption, I thought they were going to use the jigabobos to, like, you know, attack the white people, but it was actually the Jigabobo spirits was attacking the little black girl because she run off. If she didn't run off, because it was that episode where, you know, Emmett Till, they put in the whole Emmett Till thing in that show or in that episode. I don't know if you can see it. Like, it's the Jigabobo. Oh, let me see if I can get the lighting right. There, the Jigabobo. So that also had me like, oh, okay. I see what you're trying to do, Misha Green, with your little writing. I see what you're trying to do. I like that she put that in there because it's like now it's showing me the occult side of this shit. The jigaboo and the coon and the bedwench and the bedbuck and the mammy and all these different stereotypes are actually spirits. They're fucking sasa. They're duppies that are passed down and act through us out here in the black nation or community or whatever you want to fucking call it. And by putting those tropes or those stereotypes in these movies and TV shows or even in the news, you're doing a ritual. You're activating those spirits. You're activating the jigabobos. Because even in this show or in that episode, and then the next episode, when it's like a cliffhanger, it goes to the next episode in the Lovecraft country, the little girl D starts turning into a jigabobo. Like, with the crazy fucking hair, and she got the claws, and she got the fucking the coon mouth, the red coon mouth, you know what I'm saying? That's a spirit. That's what you would call a wicked or evil spirit, a sasa. So what the white dude did to the little black girl because she ran off, he put the spit on her fucking forehead and did a curse. That means he put that he marked her so that she can start having those spirits in her body and in her mind fucking her up. You see, you gotta know the gravity of this shit. Cause now it's like today, motherfuckers that still live up to that or let those bed wench or bed buck spirit. You know what I'm saying? It's a spirit that they're passing down from generation to generation, fucking us up. So we got to do something to break that fucking curse or break our ties and destroy these jigabobo, coon, mammy, bedbug, bedwinch spirits. These house nigga spirits. Like we gotta do something. It's like they fucking vampires or something. We gotta fucking drive a stake, proverbial stake through the hearts of them motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? This shit is a cult. It's a cult. Period. Exclamation point. You know what I mean? And again, these physical and occult spirits done by blacks during slavery and onwards. So now we get into shit like the infamous Tuskegee syphilis shit. You know about the Tuskegee experiments, extreme measures, that movie with Gene Hackman, how they just find random people off the street and then they experiment on them and shit like that, like the medical apartheid and all that shit. Because again, it's not just physical experimentation; they're experimenting on us through the occult. You know what I'm saying? So they know how to put niggas in their place if the niggas don't know how to combat that magic. This is why I'm into spiritual warfare. And you need to too. I have a class on spiritual warfare, and I'm going to put it below in this link or in the description of this video. Make this investment so that you're not being destroyed or affected by these fucking slavery spirits that are still haunting us. We're talking about pedophilic spirits. We're talking about alcoholic and drug addicted spirits. It's a spirit. It's a fucking sasa. It's an entity that's affecting you, that's possessing you, that's causing you to have urges and say things and do things. You know what I'm saying? That you don't have control over because one, you probably don't know nothing about occult metaphysics properly. And then number two, you know what I'm saying? You're not even trying to even deal with the problem physically. Yeah, so then I write here the Jigabobo curse that, the white cop or the Caucasoid cop puts on the little black girl. It's a Willie Lynch chip. That Willie Lynch chip is actually a Willie Lynch spirit. So this is why niggas can't they you know what I'm saying, we can't do it. We trying to sit here and idolize about our race like what we used to do in fucking ancient Kemet and Timbuktu and Mali. You know what I'm saying? It's because of these jigaboo spirits, these coon spirits, bedwinch spirits. That Hottentot spirit, you know what I'm saying? Where you out here selling your ass. Like we call it Instagram models now. You know what I'm saying? OnlyFans models now. But that could be a fucking spirit that's affecting black women. It got you over there in Dubai, you know what I'm saying? Some of y'all out there in Dubai getting shitaton. You know what I'm saying? Getting shitaton by the Arabs and shit. And they also are into the occult. You need to, this is what you need to get through your cranium right now. Your skull piece, your dome piece. When you deal with these elite people, they deal in magic. They deal in the occult. I've got confirmations from people who, you know what I'm saying, went into those circles or whatever. These motherfuckers are dealing with the occult. So I don't know if you want to call them Masons or Masonry, or you want to deal with them on the Illuminati level. You want to call them that. I don't give a fuck. I'd rather not call them that. But I know they are into these secret orders where they deal with occult magic. They put these rituals in the TV shows and movies. Okay, then there's another trope that you'll find in the TV show Watchmen in Lovecraft Country. Old gay man who survived Tulsa. So in the Watchmen series on HBO, they got Will Reeves, the Hooded Justice, and then in Lovecraft Country they got Montrose. So these are two older black men who are homosexual. and they both have ties to Tulsa, Oklahoma of 1921, the riots. So what the fuck is that all about? You know what I'm saying? What is that all about? Because I already knew they was gonna put some black homosexuality up in this shit. I already know they was gonna do that. But then you're in both of these shows that came out a year apart from each other, almost a year apart. You have the same older black man, the older father or grandfather that survived the Tulsa, Oklahoma riots, and from somewhere out of that, they became homos or gay people or faggots or you know what I'm saying, colloquially, not in a you know what I'm saying, trying to discriminate, but in a, you know what I'm saying, they became homosexuals. You know what I'm saying? So that was interesting. What the fuck that's all about? I mean, are you trying to say that there was a lot of black men during that time that, you know, saying they went through that experience and it, you know what I'm saying? Well in the show Lovecraft Country, Montrose, who was played by Michael K. Williams, the one with the scar across his face, he was already, you know what I'm saying, homosexual as a kid before the whole Tulsa, Oklahoma thing popped off. But what is that all about? Because now you got it, you have it in the Watchmen show. Now you brought it over to Lovecraft Country. It's almost if the same fucking writer is writing the show, or the same people are given the same ideas and the same motifs, tropes, and characters. And I know it has something to do with the ritual with this whole Tulsa, Oklahoma thing. What else? Okay, and then the choice to call or deal with the protagonist whose name is Atticus. So I don't know. Hold on, let me see something. Let me make sure this is correct before I put it out here. Hold on. Jigga fucking Bobo, nigga, that is a spirit. Before I even get to the whole Atticus thing, then there's a part of the show or the episode where, you know, now that the little black girl D, she's been affected by that Jigga Bobo curse. Um, then Montrose tries to help her. Like he sees that she's trying to fight off the Jigga Bobos, the little coon girl spirits. But he doesn't see them. Only she sees them. You see what I'm saying? So that plays into the whole thing about mental illness. You know what I mean? These mental illnesses that black people are experiencing today, they can be traced all the way back to fucking slavery. Because again, it's probably an occult curse that was placed on the ancestors, our ancestors, that again got passed down to us. It's the same fucking spirit. And I talked about in previous videos how your ancestors' spirit can still be harming you or affecting you even in death. And then I just did a video about Gabriel Bannerman Richter's books, with the books about Ghanaian witchcraft practices. And I showed you in that book how he was talking about how a witch is, or, you know what I'm saying, calling these people that are into their cult, they are dangerous alive and dead. So these spirits can still fuck with you even in their death, because now they're in your DNA. So that's what the racist cop did to the little girl on the show. He put something in her DNA. He did something on the wave genetic level of her being. So now she's seeing these jigabobos that are trying to, I guess, kill her or take her energy or fuck her up in some sort of way. Now, from the outside looking in, it looks like the little girl is suffering from a mental illness, because she's swinging I think she had a bat or some sort of weapon where she was trying to hit the jigabobos. But again, they're not physical. It's like a spirit that's affecting her mind. And then she starts to turn into it, you know what I'm saying? Then they reverse the hex on her. Hold on, but let me look up this shit. 1 second. Let me marinate the tongue right quick. Go get you a snack, yo. Why you know what I'm saying? You could have got you a snack while I was sitting here doing this. Go get you a little, you know what I'm saying? Go get you something. Do. Hold on. So I guess they named, like, you know what I'm saying, Atticus or Tick. He's named after the Atticus the poet, I guess. He writes poems incorporating themes of love, relationships, and adventure, I guess. So I guess that's what he was named after. And then it's also a Greek, Herodes Atticus was a Greek of Athenian descent. His ancestry could be traced to the Athenian noblewoman Alpenici or Alpenici or whatever. Um, and he descends from a series of mythic Greek kings like Theseus, Cecrops, Acus, and you know what I'm saying, as well as the god Zeus. So I'll probably get deeper into that later in the thing, but I just wanted to mention that because these names of these characters are important. So then we get into what? A younger black man with special powers or abilities sacrifices himself in the end. So again, this same fucking trope, this same fucking thing happens in both of these HBO shows that come out a year apart from each other. So in the Watchmen show, you have Calvin, who's really Dr. Manhattan, the blue dude that always got his dick out. And then notice how in the original Watchmen movie in 2009, and then in the actual graphic novel that came out in 1986, the Alan Moore shit. Notice how it's a white man that becomes the blue dude. In this HBO show, it's a black man that's the blue dude. So why did they change ethnicities on you like that? That's important. You gotta pay attention to that shit, because what they're really showing you is that you, as the black man or black woman, have the propensity and the capacity to become this new creature or new thing that's blue. They were able to figure that out. They even made a whole Avatar movie about blue people. I should make a whole lecture about blue niggas. Just all these instances where, um, in recent, a couple decades of movie making, there have been blue characters, characters wearing blue, like Thanos and Killmonger, or they're giving out blue, like Walter White in the show Breaking Bad, and then Denzel Washington when he played as Frank Lucas dealing with the blue magic in the movie American Gangster. So this blue shit, we're gonna get into it because it even pops up in this show when I get to that part of this um, lecture or whatever we want to call it. But again, the younger black man with special powers sacrifices himself in the end. So Calvin or Dr. Manhattan does the same thing in the Watchmen show. And then Atticus does the same thing towards the end of the motherfucking Lovecraft country show. So what is it with this black man with these special abilities and powers willing to sacrifice himself? What does that mean? What are you trying to go with that? You know what I'm saying? Like what's that all about? Because Atticus, I don't think Atticus, he doesn't die in the book that this show is based on, this Lovecraft Country. He doesn't die in the book. You know what I'm saying? So why did they change that? Same reason they put in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921 into the show, which was not in the book. It's some propaganda. I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? Trying to use Atticus, like it's the same thing. It's like even this. Okay, let's go back to the movie Blade. I'm looking at a spider. Whenever a spider pops up, there's actually two spiders. I know the occult and spiritual meaning of spiders when they pop up, so I know why they're here. You know what I'm saying? I just had to make mention of that. But Go back to the movie Blade with Wesley Snipes back in the 90s, right? Late 90s. So the character Deacon Frost, played by the Steven Dorff dude, he needs Blade's blood. He needs Blade's blood to become an immortal or a god. So he sets up the 12, which, represents the Zodiac. He sets up the 12 elder vampires as sacrificial lambs so that then he takes their energy, but he needs Blade's blood. So Blade is at the top of the temple, and he's in this Iron Maiden type of chamber where it cuts into his wrist and it bleeds him out. So that blood drips down from the ceiling and it hits, it lands on Deacon Frost, and then he goes through that whole ritual to become a god or the vampire god. It's the same fucking shit in this show, Lovecraft Country. They need a black man's blood who's of a special, he's a daywalker, because that's who Wesley Snipes or Blade was. He was a daywalker. He was a special breed. This shit is all about species and breed. They needed him. The white girl in the show, Christina, you know what I'm saying? She needed Atticus's blood to become immortal. Just like in the beginning of the show where her father, Samuel Braithwaite, who, he was the current leader of the Order of Ancient Dawn, he needed Atticus's blood. He needed Atticus to become an immortal. That's telling you that these white people need our melanin, they need our blood, they need our DNA for them to survive longer so that they don't get affected by their motherfucking minus birth rate that's going on with them right now. And if you think this is black pseudoscience, you can take your ass to Google and search the article in New York Times in 2018 talking about how white people are at a minus birth rate, where there's more Caucasoids dying than there is being born. This is a threat to the entire Caucasoid race. So now they're making desperate measures and desperate attempts to prolong their life or to try to find the secret to immortality. And they know it comes from us, our DNA, our melanin, our, gene pool. It comes from us. They got to go through us to do that. They hint that they deal with this shit also in the movie Get Out with Daniel Kaluuya, the Get Out movie, where they take white people's, I guess, their mind or piece of their brain and put it into a black person's body. I'm telling you, these motherfuckers still experimenting on us for any nigga they can get experiments on you. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, it's saying the connectivity. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on, wait a minute. This shit, I hope this shit is still here. I gotta go and watch. I'm gonna have to watch this before I put it out. But because it's saying that there's the connectivity was kind of fucking up. Hold on. But anyway, hopefully it captured what I was just saying. So, they need these Craigozoids, they need us to become an immortal, obviously, because they keep doing the ritual. You know what I'm saying? These movies. It was the same ritual in the movie Blade. And you're doing it with Atticus or Tick. We'll just call him Tick. They're doing it with Tick in this show, Lovecraft Country. So they want us to willingly come over to them to sacrifice ourselves so that the white people can keep living. I ain't sacrificing the fucking thing for y'all asses. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, the dumb niggas that y'all can find to do that, you know what I'm saying? Hey, if they dumb enough to go along with y'all little occult rituals that y'all think y'all gonna do to get immortality, y'all go ahead and do that shit. You know what I mean? Y'all know which niggas to do that to. You know what I'm saying? For all you Caucasoids watching this right now, you know what I mean? But anyway, then we get into the Asian chick with her eyes on the black man protagonist. The Asian chick with her eyes on the black man protagonist. Going back to the Watchmen HBO show, Lady True. What's her greatest goal? What's her ultimate goal in the show? Her goal is to get Dr. Manhattan and take his powers and put his powers into her so that she can be the same thing as he. You know what I'm saying? So she has his eyes on him. You know what I'm saying? Like she's connected to him, right? So now you deal with this show Lovecraft Country, where it doesn't even deal with the book doesn't deal with no Asian chick or no Korean chick in the book. Or I guess unless I missed something. You know what I'm saying? Because it deals with Atticus, you know what I'm saying? He was in the Korean War and, he fell in love with this Korean woman who turns out to be a Kimiho, a nine-tailed fox spirit that preys on men. So when she has sex with men, she, her tails come out of her face and mouth and connect into the man. And then she can, tap into all his memories and take his soul and then make his body explode and shit. So there's a scene where, Tick in the Gia, her name was Gia, the Korean girl in the show when he's over there in Korea. They didn't fell in love. They find that they're special to each other, and they fall in love. And one time that they're having sex, her tails come out and try to connect to him, but she doesn't want to kill him because she's in love with him. So she kicks him off of her, and he flies across the room. And then he gets freaked out by it, and then that's when he leaves Korea. Cause nigga, you'd be freaked out too. You know what I'm saying? You sit here knocking boots with the joint, and then little tails start coming out of her mouth and out of her ear and out of her eyes. Like, what the fuck? But knowing my freaky ass, I'll be like, okay, you're nasty, I'm nasty too. Then my shit come out. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta do that to the right dude. You can't be springing out on the wrong dude. Of course, Atticus or Tick, he wasn't prepared for that level of freakiness. Now, if you were to put me in that situation, I would have stayed there. Because I don't know, maybe I'm different. I'm just a different type of dude. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That shit was kind of like it was a turn on. I'll give you that. I like that scene. But I don't want it to end where I explode and then she takes my soul. I don't want that to happen. You know what I'm saying? But that's some freaky shit. It's freaky. I'll give you that. It's freaky. I'm glad they put that in there, but it's just this whole thing with the Asian. You're putting a random Asian into this whole story about white, like Caucasoids and black people in America. So you don't put the Jew in there, but you definitely put someone from the Far East into the show. You know what I'm saying? And I guess she wound up being like his second lover. You know what I'm saying? Because he was, Tick was already impregnated Journey Smouye. You know what I'm saying? Letitia or Letty in the show. And, they was already in love. So, then, the Gia comes all the way over to America because she predicts that Atticus is going to die because she done had sex with him and had tasted his soul and got into his memory and his future and was able to predict that he was going to die, which he does by the end of the show. But she comes over there because she's still in love with him and whatnot. So I guess in that last episode of the show, like everybody just becomes this big happy family. Like Atticus gets to get the Korean chick and the Journey Smouye chick. You know what I'm saying? Because they were kind of like splitting images of each other. Like Letty and the Gia chick, like they was kind of like, they looked the same. So, I could see, he got the best of both worlds with that. And we're going to get into that and why that they put that in there. What I noticed about the entire show of Lovecraft Country, and it wouldn't be a complete Depthical review without me mentioning this, is there was a strong sense of lesbo feminism in the show. Dee, the daughter, which was the daughter of Hippolyta and George, Dee, the daughter, is originally a boy in the book named Horace. Not Horus, the ancient Egyptian deity, but Horace. So Horus was a boy, wasn't a girl. So they switched it to it being a little girl in the show. So it was originally a little boy. So like I said, this was Misha Green's brainchild, this show, and or maybe she was just the face on it or the writer. So it makes sense because a lot of these it was Shonda Rhimes and the Issa Rae, these women that are given the green light to create shows and movies and write for TV, they're only giving these particular black females a job because they're writing the propaganda that these Jewish moguls want to see on TV. That's the only reason Issa Rae and Shonda Rhimes and Misha Green have any type of, you know what I'm saying, green light to do any type of shows. It's because of this lesbian, feminism, homosexuality, um, anti-black, all this shit that they write into their shows. That's why they have a job. You remember how Issa Rae was sitting here talking about she'd rather have a Korean man than she would her own brother or her own black man. That's the type of motherfuckers that they want writing for them, these Jewish people. So if you want to break into Hollywood, start writing like Issa Rae, Shonda Rhimes, and Misha Green, and I bet your ass will get a job. You gotta learn to write how these Jewish people want you to write. Otherwise, you will be unemployed in that sector of the industry. And then Christina, who was the, I guess she wasn't a real strong antagonist though. You know what I'm saying? That was my gripe with the show. Like, I wish they had a stronger antagonist. I mean, they had Titus Braithwaite. You know, they was dealing with his spirit. Which Titus Braithwaite, he was the slave owner who started the Order of the Ancient Dawn. What I'm saying, back in times of slavery in the show. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to see more of him. I didn't see a lot of him in the show because he would have made for a greater villain. But the Christina Braithwaite, which is a descendant, so that means that makes Atticus and the girl Christina, they're cousins. You know what I'm saying? They're distant cousins and shit. Um, she was originally a man in the book named Caleb Braithwaite. So again, they made her a female. They made him a female in the show. This is that feminism going on. So they take characters and switch their fucking genders to suit the fucking socio-political agenda and propaganda they want to put forth in the show. But what they did do was, you know what I'm saying, you find out that Christina knows how to jump into or turn into other people by taking their blood and doing some sort of like potion or some sort of magic with the blood and turning herself into this white man in the show, which was a twist. I didn't see that coming. It was like she knows how to drink the blood of the magical blood of whoever she wants to turn into, and she turns into that for a short time. And then we could deal with Christina. Like I said, she was not really she had the blue eyes and the pale skin and the blonde hair. She just wasn't a really strong antagonist. She wasn't that strong for me. Because I like it kind of like lessens her antagonism when she's out here siding with, you know, the protagonists, like being a hero at this time and then being I mean, it gives for, I guess they wanted to give her complexity, like she's just not a run-of-the-mill super villain, I guess. But I just wish she was just a stronger villain, like she had a stronger like goal, because the only thing she wants to do is just become a fucking immortal. She just wants immortality, but she needs Atticus's blood or Tick's blood to become that immortal. So that makes her, you know, automatically the villain of the series. Which again, it goes back to this thing with white people trying to be immortal, trying to escape their fate of being a minus birth rate species. They know their time is up. You know what I'm saying? So I looked at Christina the villain, you know what I'm saying, as a rejected feminist witch bitch, you know what I'm saying, seeking power and thrills. And the reason I say this is because there's a point in the show where Ruby, which is the sister of Letty, you know what I'm saying, the plus size sexy chocolate John in there that was Letty's sister. Um so Christina, she becomes the white man for a little bit, and she falls in love or starts having sex with Ruby. And you know that in the show, Ruby is given a potion that lets her become a white woman for, I guess, like a day or two. I don't know. And lets her have she becomes a white woman for like a couple days. You know what I'm saying? Then the potion wears off. Then she got to drink more potion. But they have a conversation with each other where Ruby is like, you never, like, it's during that time where Emmett Till, because they put the whole Emmett Till situation in the show. So Ruby is fucked up about it, just like any black person in America is fucked up about, Emmett Till, the way they found him, the way his face was bashed in, the way he was, the thing, I guess it was some sort of rim that was something was tied around his neck, and he was drowned in the water where he couldn't escape the river that he was dropped in by the fucking racists and shit. So Ruby is telling Christina that, look, you do you even care that a black person like Emmett Till was just murked and bashed in and fucked up like that? And Christina kept it real. She was like, I don't care about that. Like, I just want to be immortal. I don't give a fuck about, a little black boy being killed by some white people. You know what I'm saying? And I understood that, because why would she be? You know what I'm saying? It's just that whole thing of black people expecting other white people to care. It's like, why would they? I don't expect them to. I don't expect their sympathy. I don't expect them to have any type of empathy, sympathy, or anything about that. Especially when it really doesn't really directly deal with them. Because Christina in this show, she's not some fucking racist white woman. She's not really that. She's more like one of those affluent white women that want to dip and dabble in black flesh. Like, she's like a modern. And that's another thing I didn't like about this show. I'm gonna just say this briefly. I didn't like how they use modern music as a soundtrack to the show. That was tacky. That was corny. I didn't like it when uh Quentin Tarantino did that shit in the movie Django Unchained, where he used Rick Ross song in a fucking movie that takes place in 1800s. That was corny. That put a bad taste in my mouth. That's stupid. Just use the music of the time period. Like, you're dealing with the 1950s or 40s or 50s, deal with that music, because that puts us in that time frame. Because this is historical fiction. So give us music that deals with the fucking time frame. Like, why the fuck are you putting fucking, what was that, Cardi B or Meg Thee Stallion song in that show, or some other type of bullshit? That just takes away the fucking flavor of the show. That shit is tacky. Don't do that. If you ever become a fucking movie person or a fucking show person, don't put that shit in your shit. Keep the music consistent with the time frame. If you're going to do a period piece or a historical fiction or a historical account, use music of the time. You know what I'm saying? Fucking putting trap music and corny ass Cardi B and fucking, what's her name, Meg the horse, the male horse, and you know what I'm saying? That's whack. That's corny. But so Christina, after that argument or that discussion she had with Ruby, so this bitch says, I want to. I guess she has the guilt, that white guilt. So she hires two white dudes to kill her and drown her in a river, like to wrap this barbed wire around her neck and then attach it to like this big ass metal rim or something, and then throw her ass in the river. You know what I'm saying? And she does this like to know how it feels to be a black man or a little black kid that got killed by some racists. But obviously she's a witch, so she knows how to, she did a spell on herself where she would survive them killing her. You know what I'm saying? She gets up, she you know what I'm saying, takes the shit off her neck and then gets back up on the pier after being in the water. And then she just starts laughing and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's a thrill for her. See, it was important when they put that in there, because when white people, these fucking, especially the more money they have, it's not the fact that they racist, it's more the fact that they're disconnected. They're not necessarily racist. They may have a racist, you know what I'm saying, viewpoints because they just don't fucking know. But the whole point of them coming to, you know, slumming, for example. These white people that got millions of dollars and they do this thing called slumming, where they live and act like homeless people. And it's slumming, and it's like a thrill for them. It's like, because all their life they just knew money. They don't know what it means to not to have money, so they go on these little escapades where they act like bums and hobos and shit, and go live out in the streets for like a little while and then go back home. And they do that as a thrill. They do that to experience black plight. So she went through the whole Emmett Till, simulated the Emmett Till situation just for a thrill. You know what I'm saying? And then we get to Ruby herself. What's the name of this actress? I think she looked like she had like an African name. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, Ruby was sexy in the show. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so the actress that played Ruby, her name was Wunmi Masaku. She's British Nigerian. And that's a fucking running gag in a lot of these fucking shows and movies with black people in it. They like using these British Africans instead of using American actors and actresses. You know what I'm saying? What was that movie? Harriet Tubman, the recent Harriet Tubman biopic. That bullshit. You know what I'm saying? The black woman that played that, she was from United Kingdom too. I think she was Ghanaian or Nigerian too. So they like using these Nigerian or Ghanaian British actors and actresses. You know what I'm saying? They like using them a lot. But Wunmi Mosaku, she's sexy. I like her look. I like her. You know what I'm saying? She definitely had her American accent down pat. You know what I'm saying? I would have never knew she was from Great Britain, or we gonna say Little Britain. We're not gonna up them anyway. We're gonna say United Kingdom. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to the black people over there, but I can't call you Great Britain because it's like, you know, I don't consider white people great. So, um, yeah. So Ruby, so her character Ruby. So she's like the singer. She's like the, you know what I'm saying, um, the songbird, and she got to experience what it's like to be white, because again, she's dealing with Christina. So Christina, it's interesting with that relationship between the two people, because they're two people dealing with each other. So Ruby becomes a white woman. They also have sex that way. So Ruby, in her black state, she has sex with Christina while she's the white man. Then she finds out that Christina was the white man the whole time by the use of a potion. You know what I'm saying? So then there's a point where Ruby takes the potion, becomes a white woman, and has sex as a white woman while Christina is the white man. And then they just have sex where it's like Ruby in her black state is having sex with Christina in a lesbian type of thing. So it's like four different people having sex with each other. You know what I'm saying? It's like a foursome. And Ruby is the only black person in the foursome. You know what I'm saying? But the whole experience is Ruby being a white woman. And that was the most interesting thing about the show until they brought up Hippolyta's situation, which we're going to get to that next. But with Ruby being this white woman, it's interesting. I like how they put that in there because it showed you how, okay, you want to be white so fucking bad, but then you didn't get rid of your blackness though. You appear as a white woman, but you're still black. So then when you get around these white people disguised as a white person or a Caucasoid person, now you get to really see how they talk about you and your people. What they got to say about your people. Because Ruby was one of those people that was one of those black people that was like, if we just wear, suits and stop, having pants sagging off our ass and we start being more decent and diligent, white people will accept us more. If we dress a certain way and talk a certain way and carry ourselves a certain way, white people will accept us. We'll get further as a black race if we do that. But if you're sitting here acting like niggers and niggas and all that shit and you're being ghetto, you'll never get anywhere in life. And boy, did she had a rude awakening. Because she started working at that store. It was like a J.C. Penney type of store. And she became the manager. You know what I'm saying? She became the manager of the shit. And it's like, she got to see what that shit is really like. Because now you're amongst other other Caucasoid women talking down on black people. You know what I'm saying? So you see her in scenes in the show where she gets the white privilege that, Caucasoid women get. You know what I'm saying? You get to get shit for free. You get to go here, there. You get treated a certain way by the Caucasoids and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But what I liked about that whole shit was that Christina broke it down to her ass. You know what I'm saying? Because Christina, you know what I'm saying, the villain, she tells Ruby that, basically you're instead of you being out there with your people with Emmett Till in the funeral, you're in here trying to be a white woman. He straight told her to her face like that. Because I told you earlier, like how Ruby tried to, bash Christina because Christina didn't really care about Emmett Till's death. But then Christina was like, well, you're in here trying to be a white woman, though. And you know what I'm saying? You're in here taking the potion to be a white woman and go around parading yourself as a white woman. And that's true. There's a lot of you niggas out here that if you was given a chance, you would take that potion. You know what I'm saying? You would take that motherfucking potion and say sayonara to all the other niggas. Me, my friend, I'm black to the end. I was born that way, I lived it, and I'm going to die that way, and I'll do it over again if I want to, if I have to. I don't want to be no other ethnicity. Give me my melanin. Give me this again. I don't want to be Caucasoid. Nope, no thank you. I don't care what type of fucking political privilege it gives me in this fucking country. I'm going to stay this. This is me. This is me, baby. This is who I am. You know what I'm saying? Or how I appear to be, my residual self-image based on Matrix terminology. You know what I'm saying? I'm really the spirit behind this body. But as far as the shell or the, the meat bag, I'd rather have this one than all the other ones. But continuing on. Then we get to Hippolyta. And Hippolyta comes from, the Amazon queen or the Amazon queen warlord or warrior, Amazon from Greek mythology or whatever. But Hippolyta is where I delighted about this whole fucking show. Her scene where she goes into the multiverses and the multi-dimensions, that was my highlight of the show. Nothing tops that. I'm pretty sure a lot of you like that shit too. So the whole thing of them trying to, there's characters in the show trying to get to this orrery, which is this planetary machine that has like the planets rotating. It's like a gold machine in the show, but there's a key inside of the orrery. And I saw that as a metaphor of, like I said, if you go back to my dream genome thesis, I have it on my channel, and I'll put the link for it in this description of this video. Just watch my dream genome thesis if you haven't already, because what I figure out, or what I come to the conclusion of, is that your dream is a coded depiction of what's going on in the cells of your body. So also what I did with that dream genome thesis is that I compared the clock and the zodiac wheel that you get in astrology, as they are based on the constructions and the inner workings of a cell in your body, because the cells in your body are always moving and rotating. You know what I'm saying? Just like how the planets spin around the zodiac or spin around the constellations, just how the hour hand, minute hand, and second hand go around an analog clock. It's all the same formology, or not formology. That's a new word, or if it ain't, I don't know. That's the same format in different systems. You know what I'm saying? And it all based on what's going on in your cell. So I saw that golden planetary orrery as a metaphor for the cell. So you got to go into your cell to get the key, which then goes into the whole thing of Hippolyta being the motherboard. So in the book, in the Lovecraft Country book, it talks about how Hippolyta, the character, she comes across this control console or machine. Okay, Hippolyta as the motherboard to power the multiverse machine. And in the book, she discovers a control console with 64. Check this shit out. She discovers a control console with 64 windows each, displaying a 3-digit number and a button, and a book with the 64 3-digit numbers in it. You already know what the fuck I'm going with this, don't you? If you know what I'm saying, you know me and know how I deal with genetics and all that. That's based on the 64 codons in your DNA. So codons are basically 3 base sections of the DNA that spell out all the amino acids that then get translated into proteins and enzymes that make up your entire physical shell or meat bag. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that it's 64 windows with 3-digit numbers, so that 3-digit number represents that 3 base codon. So in genetics, you have bases. You have the adenine, trinine. No, you had an adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. So you get a 3-digit or 3 base pair. So let's say you have CCA, cytosine, adenine. That's a codon. And it's one of the 64. So those 64 codons come together to create the amino acids, the molecule amino acids that then form polypeptide chains, my nigga. And those fold to create all the proteins in your body. So we're talking about your insulin, your polymerase or polymerases, the oxytocin that is responsible for a woman lactating with milk, all the hormones in your body. These are all proteins and enzymes. And it goes by the coding, the 64 codons in your body. This also compares to the 64 spaces or squares on a chessboard. And it also compares to the 64 hexagrams in the I Ching or the I King system in China, which also goes to the E5 thing, the binary code and all that shit. So you got to chase the 64 number to know what I'm talking about. So wherever you see the number 64, it's going back to these 64 codons in your genetics or in your genome that encode all the amino acids and proteins and stuff. So it's interesting that she has this console or this machine that operates this way. Because what it's telling me is that if you can go into your DNA and deal with the same science, you'll be able to go to different multiverses without even needing to use an external machine or artificial technology to do it. That's advanced. So now we know your 64 codons is some sort of divination system in your body, or all these divination systems are based on your genetics. So when you do any type of divination, I don't care if it's cowrie shells, bones, leaves, sticks, or you're dealing with the dead, or you're divinating with tarot cards or oracle cards and all that shit. That's pretty popular right now. You're really dealing with your DNA. More specifically, your wave genome or your wave genetics. So you don't need a machine to do that. You just need to be in tune with your DNA, your holographic text DNA that is beyond the physical. So we're even going beyond the physical when we deal with DNA. It's not a physical thing. It's just that the molecules at the microscopic level of your body are shaped in the format of the holographic text that writes the entire existence. The same numbers you see in the Matrix, but on an organic or natural scale, not on an artificial scale of computers. So the whole thing of Hippolyta going to this machine in this place in the basement, and her using the key from the orrery, the gold machine that has the planets on it, and her using that key to turn on the machine, and then it creates a portal that she can jump into. Her and Tick jump into that portal, and it's a whole episode where it's showing you how Hippolyta goes to the microscopic quantum level of her being, giving more credibility to it when they mention this thing in the book, talking about the 64 three-digit numbers and how you can use those numbers to go to different um, times and places in history in the future. Because in the show, they used the same machine to go to fucking Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921. They keep dealing with that bullshit. But her whole thing, that whole sequence, that whole fucking episode where she goes into this super scientific room, and then she meets this woman with the afro. Nigga, I'm telling you, that's you going to this microscopic level of your being. That's what is called a quantum state reduction. If you deal with Judy K. King's work, like the Balls of Fire or the book Isis Thesis and all her works, that's what the fuck she's talking about. The quantum state reduction, where you go into the quantum spiritual level of your being and deal with your ancestors or those Christ ancestors on the level of your being. Because I don't know if that woman that she meets in that level, that that spiritual world, I don't know if that was her higher Hippolyta's higher self, or just her spirit guide, or some sort of ancestor that was supposed to lead her to the Asamando. See, in Akan cosmology, we deal with the Asamando. The Asamando is the ancestral plane in Akan. We call it the Asamando. It's like a heaven. So you only get to the Asamando when you are in alignment and you have arrived at your Christ level of development of your spirit body and your physical body. So now you can go to the Asamando. Because if you can't go to the Asamando, you wind up stuck here on the astral plane of this earth or this dimension. So there's a lot of fucking spirits on this dimension that can't go to the fucking Asamando. They stuck here with you or with the humans. They can't go beyond this level or the astral level. You know what I'm saying? They don't have enough alignment or power to do that. So they are stuck here, haunting people here or dealing with motherfuckers on this level. You know what I'm saying? But Hippolyta in the show goes to that level. So then she's able to go to, different times in history, you know what I'm saying? Or I guess different multiple versions of herself in different versions of history. So she goes to the Josephine Baker time. She goes to the time where she's an African warrior, you know what I'm saying, in this tribe where they're fighting these white men and shit. And then she goes to a sequence where she's in bed with her husband, played by Courtney Vance, Uncle George dude. And, you know, then this is where it kind of gets a little, again, the feminist shit comes in, where it's like, you know, the man was the one holding her back from her living out her fullest potential. And my whole thing with that shit was like, what men are oppressing you? I'm not oppressing you. I don't tell y'all women what to do. So why is this like it's against motherfuckers because they got a dick? Because a lot of these men ain't even out here oppressing you, yo. You can do what you want. You're a dove. Be free. Do what you do. I've never been no oppressor to no woman. Like, you do what you do. You're free to do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? Do you do. I ain't stopping you from doing a thing. Because I just don't like how, like, it usually just be feminist women. Like, how they just act like all these men are just out here oppressing you and keeping you from doing what you want to do. And that's fucking false. You know what I'm saying? If anything, you are being stopped just like how we are being stopped. Or you know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers trying to stop us from doing anything. You know what I'm saying? They try to make it gender. It's like, no, it's these, you know what I'm saying, Caucasoid Jews or whoever, they're trying to oppress. They're not oppressing me, but they're trying to stop us from doing what we're doing, but they're not. So you can't really kind of put that on black men and like we're just keeping you from you becoming your fullest out potential. Fuck all that. You do what you want to do. Ain't nobody stopping you. But like I said, it was just that scene, and then there's the other scene where, you know, she goes to this other like very like mushroomy psychedelic place, and this shit also connects to the 70s, and it makes sense because the ancestor that she deals with, that real large black woman with the fro and shit, that's how you know when those musicians and singers back in the 70s and they was making music about all this psychedelic stuff, it was them doing them drugs. Or not, I ain't gonna say, well, yeah, doing those psychedelic mushrooms and mescaline and all that shit. Because then when you deal with Judy K. King's video with her book Balls of Fire, where she did this video on YouTube, and she talks about how Woodstock, it was this big ass free concert where it was a lot of these white people coming to see these bands play rock music and psychedelic rock. And a lot of the music that these musicians was making was based on their tripping experiences when they were tripping on psilocybin mushrooms, LSD, mescaline, and all that. And they talk about this rainbow portal that you can go through to get over to the quantum or the metaphysical side of things. So you see that with Hippolyta's experience with the multiverse. You know what I'm saying? And then towards the end of it, her spirit guide or the Afro woman is like, it's time for you to now come to the awesome, you know, like come to this, you're now welcome to our heaven, you know what I'm saying, or our world. But like I said, they always put in this ritual where the black person that's a god or like a god level being or this deity doesn't want to be a deity. They want to be a fucking human. Like they want to go back to their humanity for some reason. So I get it. If you're a mother, you want to go back to your child back on earth. But it's like, yo, you had the opportunity to go like live with the fucking gods, the titans or whatever. You get to live amongst the deities, the Christs and the ancestors. But nah, you want to go back to earth and, you know, be a hero. I don't know. That's what she wanted to do. But I wouldn't have chosen to go back to earth, nigga. Nah, if I had the fucking opportunity to go to that fucking Asamando or that place of the Christ ancestors, I'm going. Fuck that. So she turns down the opportunity. Then she comes back. So then they go back to that machine to use it to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma back in 1921 to retrieve the book of names, because they need the book of names to do the spells and the rituals they need to do in the show. So Hippolyta, she has these outlets or sockets or these connections in her body now. So now she's what you would call a luciferase or a Luciferian being. Like she's bioluminescent now. You know what I'm saying? She went through that multiverse experience and now is a new creature. She's a new thing now. So in order to make the machine work, because it was destroyed, she has to connect the machine to her body. So she says she's a motherboard now. This shit is fucking deep. This is her dealing with her melanin science. So she connects the shit to her wrists and she powers the machine, but she can't power it for long because she starts, you know what I'm saying, passing out and fainting and she can't hold it. But then Atticus tells her, you gotta hold on. You gotta make sure you keep the multiverse gateway open so that Letty can get the book and then return through it. That's when Hippolyta's hair turns blue. Now you know what the fuck this blue shit. I've been talking about this blue thing on my Instagram for the past few like month or weeks. They know who you are. These Jewish white people or these motherfuckers in these occult circles or occult orders, they know who you are. So when Hippolyta's hair turns blue, it signified that she is now the God woman. She is now the new species. She is now the bioluminescent hybrid species. She's half God, which you would call God, and half human. She's now completed that. And her hair turning blue signifies that. So now now that she done turned into that, she can illustrate real good. Like she made that comic book. She can do all types of scientific shit now. Because she done had that multiverse initiation. That's what happens when you go to the quantum level of your being. That's the alchemy. That's the shit that you're dreaming about if you're doing the alchemy. So her whole thing in the show was the most interesting to me. It was the best part of the whole Lovecraft Country show. Her going into these multiverses and this microscopic space and all that shit. That shit was done right. I like that shit. Up until the fact where she refuses to go with her spirit guide. And you see how high tech it was. You see how high tech that whole thing was? Like when she went into that world or that dimension or whatever you want to call it. It was super high tech. Because that's who we are. Our melanin is high tech. There's so many applied sciences you can do with your melanin. And this is just a small thing. This is a different topic about the show. Justification for polyandry. So Atticus or Tick, he finds out that, there's this thing running through the show where his Uncle George is actually his father. And Montrose was just, his surrogate father or his, the one that, because his mom was, I guess, having sex with both of these men. They're brothers, like Montrose and Uncle George. They're brothers. So she's had sex with both of them. So then you get to like maybe the second to the last episode where they talk about how, his mom was in love with both brothers. And, it took all three of them to be parents for Atticus. And it's like, what the fuck is you talking about? Huh? So I saw that again. That goes back to the lesbo feminist shit where it's like, they can't be satisfied with one man. They got to have two, I guess. And then you made it black and then you try to make it seem like it was something going on back in the 1920s. So Atticus has two fathers now. But like I said, I explained this in a previous video how when you're dealing with wave genetics, if your mom got pregnant by your father, but then she was having sex with another man and his energy got into you, then I guess you do have two fathers. You know what I'm saying? It's funny because it kind of makes it look like his mom was like a hoe, you know what I mean? But some of y'all mamas is hoes. Like it's not an insult. Like that's just how it happened. You know what I mean? But I like how they. I ain't like. It's not about like or dislike. I just found it funny that they put that in there. You know what I'm saying? That his mom was okay with having sex with both of the brothers like that. You know what I'm saying? And then what makes it even funnier is that Montrose was a closet homosexual the whole time. That's the cherry on top of that shit. But then it's like they try to then, with Atticus or Tick, you know what I'm saying? He had like a love triangle between himself, Letty, played by the Journey Smollett, and then the Korean chick named Gia, the fox chick. So, I guess he can be poly because his mom was poly, you know what I'm saying? Or his dad. And, I don't know. I don't know what y'all call that where a woman is fucking both brothers. I don't know, what's the justification? You know what I'm saying? What's that all about? Like, is that cool? Is that acceptable? Is that right? Is that the way it can go? Is that cool? I don't know. Like, y'all tell me. Tell me. You know what I'm saying? And then finally, before we wrap this thing up, because I went too long, I was supposed to be short. I guess I go off on tangents too much. But spiritual warfare and protection. Very important that they showed this in the show. Especially with these Cthulhu-looking monsters, or the Lovecraftian-looking monsters. They deal with these little, like, big-ass dog-looking, like, alien-looking creatures that Christina has control over with her whistle and shit. Um, and then Montrose and Tick do a ritual for protection. So there's the scene where the cops are shooting at Tick, but right before a bullet can hit him, his protector comes up out of the fucking street, the pavement of the street, and kills all the fucking cops. You know what I'm saying? That shit was awesome. That was pretty wicked. You know what I'm saying? Fucking gnarly, nigga. That was, you know what I'm saying? That was cool. Because that's what the fuck we supposed to be doing out here. You know what I mean? That's what I teach. That's what the fuck I'm into. That's my specialty out here. Spiritual warfare. That's what we do. Notice how his protector was black, basically. Nigga, that's somebody from the melanin protecting you and shit. You know what I mean? So even if you can't really see it like how you looking at it at the show, this shit goes down on the spiritual and astral plane. You know what I mean? So if somebody were to one of y'all niggas would try to attack me, you gotta deal with the consequence of that which is protecting me. That I pour out libations to, that I do rituals to, that I speak to. You know what I mean? We built for war. And you need to be built for war. Spiritual warfare is real. World War III is spiritual. And I told you earlier in this review of this Lovecraft Country show that, what was I saying? These people in these elite circles are occultists. They deal with the occult. Their science is based on the shit that they find with the occult. Their hadron colliders, or hadron colliders, their CERN machine, all that bullshit is occult. So you thinking about trying to be a singer or a rapper or an actor, nigga, you gotta pass through them. You gotta go through those motherfuckers if you want to be big time. And yeah, I would see that they would probably do all types of dick in the booty rituals. Or you get ghetto gagged. You know what I'm saying? Yo, my all-time favorite Illuminati, I gotta make it official on this YouTube. My favorite, you gotta look this up and watch it for yourself if you haven't already. My favorite Illuminati video of all time on YouTube is the Satan's Playground. I think it's a Hebrew Israelite dude that's narrating it. It's the funniest, most interesting fucking Illuminati video, yo. Because he breaks down how all the, entertainers, rappers, sports people, celebrities, they all have to go through this ritual where they get ghetto gagged, meaning that they get fucked, they get gang banged as a ritual to be a part of the fucking secret society that they joining in so that they can get fame and fortune and shit. It's funny and it's interesting at the same time. And like I said, if you want to be if you want to be on that level with 50 Cent and them, and say you want to be a Will Smith ass nigga, or you want to be the next Cardi B or Meg the Male Horse, or you want to be, I don't know, a Jennifer Lopez, you want to be on a Rihanna, you want to be a Jay-Z or whatever, you gotta pass through that motherfucking system. You gotta get ghetto gagged. You know what I'm saying? Nigga said, did y'all know Queen Latifah initiates women who want to go to the next level with a dildo and a strap on? I was like, oh shit. Oh, all right. Wow. That looked like it would hurt, but I ain't even gonna participate. See, you wanna be famous and fortunate so bad that you're willing to get ghetto gagged for it. You must want to be famous. They just mad they ain't named or they nameless. You know what I'm saying? But these motherfuckers practice this shit. So why are you out here not knowing how to protect yourself on a spiritual, psychological, or astral level? Hell, one of these motherfuckers tried to get me before and they got butchered in my dream. They got butchered because I was in a mode of protection. I had my shit. It's just like the movie Inception. Like the Japanese dude, the Sato dude in the movie Inception. He had his subconscious, aka his spirit body, militarized. So if you tried to do anything to him or put a hex or a curse on him, his astral body, or his, his ancestors or whoever or whatever's protecting him will fucking chase down the attacker and kill him and fuck him up. So if you try to get into his spirit body and try to change shit, you'll get shut up in his spirit body. You'll get fucked up because his shit is protected. You need to get protected and make that investment. I deal with spiritual warfare. I can teach you how to get to that level where you don't have to worry about, especially no weak ass low level magicians trying to try shit on you, trying to put hexes or curses or spells on you. I can teach you how to protect yourself from that. You know what I'm saying? My Acrosensum spiritual warfare training course. Sign up today in the description link below. And then you see the scene in one of the earlier episodes of Lovecraft Country, where the Haitian voodoo woman is with Tick and Letty in that house that she bought to try to protect them from, the spells and shit, or the spirits in that house. You know what I mean? That shit I can teach you how to do. Like I'm into that. That's my thing. You know what I'm saying? Make that investment. Deal with me. Go to my acrosensum.com website. You know what I'm saying? Invest. Make that investment, because if somebody can successfully seed your spirit body or do something to your spirit body where you lose everything you own, or you fucking get into a car accident that can kill you, or you lose your children, like, it's nasty motherfuckers out here trying to do that to you. That could do that. I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So just like you're investing in the first firearm, and the firearm usually costs like $300 to $500, it's the same range of price that I'm dealing with when it comes to this spiritual warfare and protection shit. Make that investment. But like I said, man, I think the highlight of this show, other than the Hippolyta thing, where she goes into the multiverse and becomes a deity, or almost does, but her hair does turn blue. It's the fact that our Willie Lynch chip, or the post-traumatic slave disorder that black people in this United States have gone through, the shit is occult and it's metaphysical and it's spiritual. That Jigabobo shit and the bed winch, all in the bed buck, the mammy, and the motherfucking black slaver, the one-eyed Charlie that they called it in Django Unchained. These are all fucking spirits that are still affecting us today. So y'all want to sit here and say niggas have mental illness? I'm going beyond that. You, before you get a mental illness, you have a spiritual sickness, what we call in the Akan, or Akan Twi, or cosmology. We deal with it and call it sunsum yare, which literally means spiritual sickness. You feel me? Spiritual sickness. That's what we suffer from out this motherfucker. It goes beyond mental illness. It's spiritual sickness manifested in multiple different ways. You know what I mean? The whole crabs in the barrel thing, the whole thing about, black women, some of these black women out here selling their ass and getting shitted on, and, you know what I'm saying, having sex with white men and all this goofy shit. It's all sunsum yare, spiritual sickness. You got men out here getting their bussy done in, spiritual sickness, bro. Sis, you know what I mean? You gotta heal yourself. We gotta this is spiritual warfare. These spirits are trying to fuck us up. You know what I mean? We know them as Achawadifo. So that Jigabobo in the show, that's what we consider or call Achawadifo. That's a spirit of disorder. It's a malignant, corrupt spirit. It's a counterfeit spirit. Or it may have been once one of us, but it devolved so much and became this fucking Jigabobo and shit. You know what I mean? Some of y'all niggas is being affected in your genome, your wave genome, by Jigabobos and pedophilic Jigabobos and pedophilic coons and, you know what I'm saying? Even the depressed spirits. It doesn't even have to be where it's attached. It's like those depressed spirits that, you know what I'm saying, were summoned during these fucking occult sessions back in those times of slavery and shit. Those fucking malignant Christian spirits. Still fucking people up to this day. Passed down from generation to generation. Pedophilia, alcoholism, drug abuse, verbal abuse, neglect. You know what I'm saying? All that shit. But that's my fucking review today. We went all the way almost to fucking, I'm seeing it right here. Went to almost 2 hours and 30 minutes. God damn. Shit. Oh, well, you enjoyed yourself, didn't you? I let you out there to get some snacks and shit. You enjoyed yourself. But that's my review of the show Lovecraft Country. I know I probably missed some shit, you know what I'm saying? Some shit that you caught up on. Maybe you can make your own review, or maybe, like I said, you can just comment below. Tell me what you felt or thought about the show. Things that you liked, what you disliked. You know what I'm saying? Things that it reminded you of in other movies or other TV shows, especially with that fucking Tulsa, Oklahoma shit. Do that below, man. Let's have a conversation below then, in the comment section of this video. So I'm signing off. This is AlexWill64. You can catch me on Instagram, AlexWill64, or EtherRealist. Catch me at my websites, ether-ins.teachable.com and acrosonsum.com. You can cash at me, $AlexWill64. If you got Venmo, I'm at AlexWill64. And there we go. Get rid of the Jigabobo. It's on. Look at it. It's right behind you. It's gonna cut your throat. Look, nigga.